up? It's your main man, Ribblezo here, man. And this episode of What the Fuck News, we got, looks like the United Nations lost its effing mind with the, some of the guidelines that they have. They're like trying to decriminalize uh, activity with underage kids, grape, all kind of stuff like that. So we about to listen to what Redacted is saying. Because I watched them. I've been watching them for like maybe a year now. So especially when there's the whole COVID thing. So yeah.
Go through what the United Nations is saying about these human rights. And, what they're trying to say is that if you criminalize things like sex and drugs, it's racist and it's against human rights. It violates.
It's racist. How is that racist? Wrong is wrong. Crime doesn't have a color to it. It's just wrong is wrong. Oh, and shout out to Redacted too. I love their news. Let's continue.
It's people's human rights. Okay, that's a nice thought that we don't want to criminalize people for things that maybe shouldn't be criminalized, but we're going so far in the other direction now that there is no longer a consensual age, an age of consent for minors is what they're saying. So, whatever, 4-year-old, do it. And there is no way to criminalize. I don't know if there's another word for this. I didn't go too far down looking it up, but do we still call them pimps? People who make money from selling.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to skip up too because I'm trying to get to some of the real parts where they were saying, but this is crazy. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, I noticed it's the United Nations and it's not America, but if the United Nations are doing it, like, like America is gonna come. It's coming. Everything that those Muslims that I knew back in the days growing up with, when they was talking about all this stuff that was going on back in like 2000, and 23 years later, what they was talking about is coming.
Other people's sex?
I mean, you just did.
Is there a more forward word for using?
Is there a new, like a Biden administration approved?
I think it's entrepreneur
word
now.
Entrepreneur.
I know.
I was going to suggest.
Public schools.
Yeah, I was going to suggest unconventional entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Unconventional entrepreneurship.
Okay, by everyone, if I use pimp. Yeah?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Me.
I'm down with that.
Is there any YouTube terms of service against talking about pimps? Okay, I'm not going to tell you how to do it.
Not yet.
The United Nations thinks it's A-okay that you do it, so I'm going to assume that YouTube thinks so too. Okay, this all comes from the United Nations organization called UNAIDS. It was a report that was released on March 8th, Women's Day. Here's the cover of the report.
On Women's Day. Okay. And on women though, aren't y'all supposed to be like trying to help women be prevented from HIV, drug use, and underage? Why would they be, for this? Let's go.
Report, and it's sort of a best practices suggestions for international communities on how to police or not police conduct associated with sex, reproduction, HIV, drug use, homelessness, and poverty. Also, of course, there's some gender identity thrown in there for good measure. Here are the frameworks that they say that they're talking about. They want to basically talk about, these things: sexual reproductive health, consensual sex, gender identity, gender expression, HIV non-disclosure, drug use, and homelessness and poverty. Now, it's a very strange document. And I'm going to skip straight to the most strange thing. The most disturbing is Principle 16 around consensual sexual conduct. They're saying that pretty much no consensual sexual conduct should be criminalized. It's same sex as well as different sex relations, consensual sexual relations between trans or non-binary people, all kinds of combinations, premarital, extramarital, no criminalization of sex, period. With respect to the enforcement of
Look, I'm sorry, maybe she's going to get to it, but I'm reading this one part where it says, it's like towards the beginning of that last whatever. It's broken up. This is however sexual conduct involving persons below domestically promiscuous minimum age of consent. Age may be consensual in fact, if not in law. In this context, the enforcement of criminal law should reflect the rights and capacity of persons under 18 of age to make decisions about engaging in consensual sexual conduct and their right to be heard in matters concerning them. See, this is grooming. If a person is groomed since they were like 5 years old, say it's like incest or whatever, this girl's getting molested or whatever by her stepdad or something, or a family member or whatever, right? And the person grooms them to make this child think that sex is good with an adult is good. So now if by law, if they talk to them in their age, like say 12 or 13, they're gonna say, well, I know I'm only 12 or 13, but I know what I want to do, and that's wrong. But that person's been groomed. It's getting crazy out here, y'all.
Criminal law, any prescribed minimum age of consensual sex must be applied in a non-discriminatory manner, meaning we sort of take into account that persons under 18 can make decisions about engaging in consensual sexual conduct and their right to be heard. There is no age limit here. When you
this is gonna this is what I'm thinking right here is gonna happen. Now, of course, when a man messes with an underage girl, he should go straight to prison and everything like that. And I do feel like they're gonna have him prosecuted under the fullest extent under the law, right? Of him going to prison. But of course, if you got money, you can get a lawyer to bring this up in your case or something like that, and you could possibly get off. It's getting wild.
read through this. So, I can see how maybe you don't want to send someone to prison for life for having sex with a 17-year-old when they're 19. Okay. But 7? 12? 4?
Right.
No.
Oh, and to add on to that part, what I was about to say too, last thing I said about the guys, but women, this is gonna make women predators. They're gonna get away with it because in the future, I know it's gonna be a lot more men making the decision. Hell, they're doing it right now. They're making decisions they don't want to have children, but the system needs women to keep having children to work in the system, and they're gonna get money and stuff like that. So if a woman has sex with an underage boy, he's 13, 14, she gets pregnant. Okay, well, now that he's 14, they're gonna say, well, as soon as you turn 16, you got to get a job and you got to pay these ladies back child support. So this man, look at here, man. Protect the boys, man. Protect your seed. Protect the baby girls too, man. Shit, they need.
No age at all?
If they can decide their gender and to be on puberty blockers and stuff like that at that age, then why not? These decisions that these...
That's a big fact. Just the same thing what the UN just said, they're basically doing that now.
These kids are going to be able to make are going to keep expanding to like they want to get married now all of a sudden. They want to live with somebody. Like it's just further going to expand.
Well, they want to go into debt. They want, give a 4-year-old a credit card. That's sure.
Well,
Let's do all of that.
You and I were talking about this. You and I were talking about this story in the kitchen, and
they want to lower the age of slaves because they can only work when they're the age of what? Start working maybe 16. My first legal job was working at Popeyes. When I used to work for the family business, was carpet cleaning business. When I was 12, when I turned 15, about to be 16, a couple months away, I got a job working at Popeyes. Okay, this way right here, if they're trying to take away the age for consensual sex now, then that means they're going to be taking away the age limit from working. So now they could even have a draft and have a draft lowered to fucking 12 years old. If you're 12 years old, we need you to come to war. I'm telling you, this is a slippery slope.
Miles, our 12-year-old, said, "Daddy, what's a minor? Like, what is a minor?" And I said, "It's you until you become an adult at age 18. Until then, I'm king, she's queen, and you do what we tell you to do." Right? And I said, so we rule.
That's exactly how it should be. You're right now. You're a minor. That means I'm king. That's queen, and we rule this. And you got to do that. Let's go.
The roost until you're an adult, then we kick you out. And he said, "What if I don't want to leave?" I'm like, "I don't want you to leave either, but."
I was gonna say, I told both of my sons they don't have to leave when they turn 18. I just want them to go get them a trade. You know what I'm saying? So if they do go to college or whatever, they can have a job or a career or something while they go to school, make some money.
But you know what I mean? Like once you go at 18, you're an adult legally under the law. Like we know that that's when you can serve. That's when you can serve in the military. That's when you can go to war.
That's
right?
when you can vote. In Europe, that's when you can drink. Even though we know the process of demyelination, I think is what it's called, is the process of full maturity of the brain doesn't end until 30. But I guess the United Nations thinks that we should take into account the consensual conduct of minors, that they can decide and they can say for themselves. So I can see how 17 and 18 is something that could be considered. But now they're saying decriminalize completely all age groups. I don't think I should have to make an argument why that's problematic.
Well, that's what the LGBTQIA plus stands for. There's actually maps now, which are minor attracted people, and they even have their own flag.
Yes.
The plan is going through. Exactly. Minor attracted people. Then they had the one, what's that, Nambla? Something for man, boy, love or something. So, yeah, it's getting weird.
Just blows me away.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're definitely not generally accepted in the LGBTQ community. They're just that's them pushing themselves in there where they're not generally. There's no reason to think they will be.
Then that means the transsexuals and the gay people need to come out against this, but it seems as though they are scared to go against this. Is like crazy to me. Like y'all community is getting a bad look. They are using your community to bring all this stuff onto children. That means you guys are getting the blame for it. That means the gay, lesbian community, transsexual community need to come out and say we don't want children at no drag shows. We don't want kids performing in drag shows. We don't want kids nothing around this shit. Because let's be clear, we all kind of know why a lot of them become that way. A lot of them were molested by people and it made them that way. We know this by now. It's no secret. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. It's best to just, you know what I'm saying, leave the kids alone, man. If you're adult, you can do what the fuck you want to do, but leave the kids alone.
Right. These groups, LGB and the TQIA plus have diverging platforms, and we've been making this argument for a really long time. But they want to make the argument that that gay is queer, and queer is then something you can apply to all manners of deviance, for lack of a better word. Now, the United Nations says that criminalization of sexual practice is unduly leading to torture, arrest, discrimination, and removal of human rights. In fact, they say by, criminalizing...
Oh, so criminalizing pedophilia is promoting racism? Is that what they're saying? Let's rewind that back one more time.
For a really long time. But they want to make the argument that that gay is queer, and queer is then something you can apply to all manners of deviance, for lack of a better word. Now, the United Nations says that criminalization of sexual practice is unduly leading to torture, arrest, discrimination, and removal of human rights. In fact,
look, if you're an adult messing with children, you don't deserve any human rights. You deserve a fucking gulag.
They say by...
And I know this ain't Natalie I'm talking to. I'm talking about the UN. I like Natalie. She's really good. And I like her husband, Clayton. They're pretty good. And I like the other co-hosts.
Criminalizing anything, really.
Matter of fact, shout out to Redacted, man. Straight up. Shout out to Natalie, shout out to Clayton, and shout out to the other homie. I forgot.
In general is problematic. Here's their introduction saying criminal law is among the harshest of tools that we have, and it ought to be last resort, basically, like criminalizing everything is last resort. It's bad. It's taking away human rights. This document, which I do recommend you read and let me know how you feel about it. The UN is saying that it's important to be free to express whatever sexual act you'd like and not be, criminalized for it.
Sodom and Gomorrah. I don't even, you know what I'm saying? I don't even go to church. You know what I'm saying? I got, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm rocking with right there. You know what I'm saying? That's my bloodline. You feel me? That's my people religion.
But it is not your right to not have someone express those acts on you. So if you're the victim of a sex crime, too bad for you. Someone else was free to do it. That was their freedom to do it to you.
So what the UN is saying is that these people urges Trump your safety and your ability to not be molested. So it's wrong if you refuse them. Is that what the UN is saying?
It's not your freedom to not have it done to you.
So this is just going to be like a society full of flashers. Right?
Yeah, I mean, we're deciding.
Look, man, I'm so glad I live in Florida. We not having that shit. We not having that. Sheriff Grady Judd. I didn't like when I was a teenager, but bruh, he
whose rights are more important? The victims of sex crimes? No, not important. The sexual perpetrators, their right to do those things is more important than my right to not be abused sexually.
Like when I was a kid, I was at the Berkshire Mall with my friend Ben.
I don't know where you're going with this, but oh yes, I do.
And it's an important story. And I've heard this from other boys, my age who have had similar stories to this. It's happened to a lot of boys that, it's like embarrassing to talk about, but let's talk about it. So my friend Ben and I were at the arcade at the Berkshire Mall in Reading, Pennsylvania, our favorite arcade. And we were out in the food court area and going to the bathroom. And this guy, and we're like, I don't know, young. So we're like, you listen to authority figures. I thought he was a security guard. I didn't know what he was. And he's like, come over here, guys. And I don't know what he was doing. He waved us to the bathroom. And then he wanted to try to show us stuff, if you know what I mean. And we both were like, let's get out of here. And we hightailed it out of there. And we ran out.
Yeah, see what I'm talking about? See? That's exactly what I'm talking about. We all know that. And, I heard stories where there was a dude riding around the hood one time. Man, this is crazy, man. He was just crazy.
We did not go back to the arcade. And then we ran and looked for a security guard. And we told them what had happened. And the security guards were up in society.
According to the United Nations,
oh my God,
that should not be criminalized. As it is right now, according to the your rights are not to have that not done to you.
I give up.
Not just for sex work, buying or selling sex work, but also for pimping sex work, because we didn't agree on a different word. Let's put it.
No, now this right here, sex work, right? Remember they locked up a lot of what was it the lady that was a madam back in Hollywood? I forgot her name, man. Fuck, it was two of them, man. It was real big. Locked them up. It was a couple of dudes that they locked up and everything. But now the UN is saying that it's good. All right, let's go.
A pin in that, they can't be punished for facilitating, managing, organizing, communicating. Basically, all that stuff's okay. You can pimp out people for money. You benefit from it. So you can see why I'm calling this the Epstein clause. Slaves in Africa and Asia, they don't take to Twitter and say, it's my right to be trafficked, right? Who's speaking for them right now? Criminal law is speaking for them. It's supposed to be illegal. The UN is making the case that they shouldn't have those rights. The abusers instead should have rights. The UN also thinks... Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say really quick, that's going to make Bill Gates happy. He's no longer going to have to refer to them as dinners. He can...
Right, these dinners with Jeffrey Epstein and his group.
Can I ask you this? I've seen this people say a lot in the chat. There's a sort of normalizing of this sex work now, this idea of OnlyFans. Yep. When we were asking for a new name for pimps and everybody.
Yep, that's it.
A bunch of people said, the new name for pimps is OnlyFans.
That's a fact.
Okay.
So maybe there's a normalization of it, right? That you can't ban these people. You should absolutely, this is a day's work, a good, honest, hard day's work. And
I remember when OnlyFans was talking about shutting down. They made articles. These women came out the woodwork talking about it's unfair, it's racist, you can't do this to women, they need a safe place and all this stuff like that. They took away the real pimps and gave people the electronic pimps. It's just crazy.
That's what you should do with
to various degrees. It has now become that if you speak out for someone to maybe not want to do sex work, you are out of touch and elitist. And so, yes, there absolutely is this normalization of...
When the internet first came out, the number one rule, I said this on Mr. Fantastic channel. Oh yeah, shout out to Mr. Fantastic. I said it on Mr. Fantastic channel. And the number one rule, the first rule that came out when the internet was out, was don't post any pictures you don't want nobody to see. Now, they're practically begging them. There's women begging that, I need to put my pictures up, I want to get paid.
Using up people's bodies as commodities.
Right.
And so, about drug use. The UN thinks that no drug use should be criminal. Here is their bit about that. Not possession, not purchase, not use, not holding any of these kits, not seeking out health services for...
I kind of... When it comes to drug use, I'm really kind of conservative on that. I don't want all these drugs because all these drugs out here are just killing people. Look at all this fentanyl that's killing people, or the drugs that they mix it with fentanyl. People think like if there was a way, if they legalized it but made it safe, like it was a kit or something that you could test your drug or something like that. Because in a way, I kind of feel like whatever you do, that's your own business. You know what I'm saying? It's your body, your choice. You do what the fuck you want to do. But me as a taxpayer, I'm not going to pay for your habit or your abortion or whatever like that. Let's get into a little bit. I think I'm about to cut this a little short, but I just want to drop off.
For drug use, nothing about drug use should be policed. So it is not only your right to do drugs, it is do not force people to get clean, but you just give them houses. They do stay in the homes for the duration of the housing experiment, participants in the control group, and 33 deaths out of the 224 in the experimental.
Man, I just wanted to drop this little video for y'all. That's the ending, but now you know what they are trying to do with the UN and United Nations. So that means other nations have agreed to this, and I wonder if America, their representative or whoever at the United Nations, if they agree with this. And I would have to say yeah, because I'm pretty sure the United Nations doesn't make any moves without the agreement of the express, especially the number one reason if the United States wants to do it or not. Alright, y'all. I just want to drop this out to y'all, man. This is What the Fuck Dudes. I think this is episode 3 or 4. Alright, y'all. Peace.